Welcome everyone to Bear Football. My name is Aldo Gandhi. I'm filling in for John Buffone, who unfortunately was not at the game. Our good luck charm had to go to bed early today because he's got an early morning. So hopefully he didn't even watch the game because he would have been spared a travesty. And I take a lot of pride in what we do here in the Barroom Network, and one of the shows I take most pride in is Bear Football. But I got to tell you, the three of us have decided to just go about 30 minutes a day, do some venting, do some swearing if necessary, let out some aggression, because what we saw today was just unbelievably bad. And so, what I want to get to now is, Danny, why was it bad? Let's start throwing some blame around because they need to hear it.
Yeah, one thing we said on Buffon 55 this past week was Bears just do not embarrass us. It's prime time. Do not make us go out there and look bad. And they were out coached, outclassed, out talented, out everything today. From the jump start. They couldn't get off the field in the first half. Second half they had they forced some punts. Thank God. I think I noted down halfway through the third quarter when the first time that Bears defense forced the Chargers to punt the ball. So offensively, they went away from the running game. Foreman only had 9 carries for 34 yards. Johnson with 6. Evans had 4. None of their running backs had double-digit carries. Bajan looked at times like he was a rookie, but also at times he made some nice throws at all as well. So, but it's not. It's again just like with Justin Fields. It's not on Tyson Bagent. This game was not won and lost because of Tyson Bagent. This game was lost because of the team, in my opinion, wasn't prepared to come out there and compete with a much better, much more a talented football team. Even though they are underachieving, they being the Chargers were underachievers coming into tonight as well. They were only 2-4 with a talent-laden team, both offensively and defensively. They've been dealing with some injuries on their end, and their coaching staff has been under a tremendous amount of fire as well. But their Staley and his staff came out today and he outclassed Eberflus. So if anyone was feeling good last week about the Raiders win and Eberflus, I know on the broadcast they're saying how the team rallied after that win for Eberflus. I'm like, really? They've only won 2 games the whole season. How can anyone come out here and defend Eberflus and his staff in terms of these are the guys going on past the season? So just a horrible performance today overall. Even special teams look bad today too. So it was just something where it was just a total team meltdown. And Kevin Warren was there. Kevin Warren saw it live in person. So I wonder how he's feeling right now.
I want to know how Coach C is feeling.
Got a damn headache. Got a damn headache. He's just watching bad football all around, right? So one of the things I outlined was, I thought we were going to see a lot of cover 2 zone. I thought we were going to see a lot of cover 3. And the way you attack that cover 3 is in the seams, right? You can't go exactly over the middle, and you can't go in. You got to go kind of attack the seams on your 9 routes or comeback routes. And I just didn't see us do that. Not committing to run allows this team has to play one style of football right now because we're so young and immature. They have to run the ball to keep that defense off the field. The defense is going to play worse as the snap count goes up, right? And so, to me, that's all on your head coach and your coordinators because you got to go in there and at the beginning of the week and say, guys, listen, this is who we are. This is our identity. You know what I'm saying? Run it down their throat until they stop it. I think Danny just said we still are averaging over 4 yards a carry by our running backs, which is crazy to me because no team has stopped us running the ball, and we refuse for whatever reason to play complementary football with our young, immature defense and keep those guys off the field. So it's just you know what I'm saying? It's disheartening. And for all the quarterback controversy talk, you know what I'm saying? If anything should be walk away from this as a narrative is, it doesn't matter, man, who's under center for this team. They can't overcome this staff. Like they can't overcome this staff. If I give Tyson credit for the 70 so yards that were stolen by the drop and the drop and the referee blowing the whistle, that's 70 million yards. That's 2 TDs. It's 2 TDs, 2 interceptions, just under or just above 300 yards right? And even if you light up the scoreboard, you still can't do nothing. You can't do anything with this defense, right? So it's just disheartening, man.
Coach, if we change the coaching staff, so Staley and his coaching staff was coaching the Bears tonight, and Eberflus was coaching the Chargers tonight. Would this have been a close game? Would this have been an entertaining game? Could the Bears have possibly won?
I kind of thought about that the first half when we did the halftime show, and then he chimed in on this part of it because I felt like what LA did the first half was kind of stole our game plan, if you were, because they were a little bit more committed to the run in this situation. And the indictment on this staff is this. You have Coach Staley, is that the right name? Somebody laughed at me earlier this week when I jacked it
Brandon
up.
Staley.
Yeah, you got this guy who's a linebackers coach, who somehow skipped the hiring chain of command to get hired in the head coach position, and his job is on the line tonight. If he loses this game, he's on the streets on Monday by all intents and purposes, and he comes out and outclasses our coaching staff. If that's not an indictment on our coaching staff to let you know where we are maturity wise as a coaching staff, I don't know what is. Going into the game, I'm saying they're gonna sit on routes in the flat, right? I haven't held a clipboard in 6 years and called a game. But if I can look on the film and say they're gonna sit on routes in the flats, right? Surely you know this. So you stay away from it. I don't care if we're throwing medium to deep outer third routes all night long and missing them. You go back to it. Did we go back to did you see we threw one deep ball in the second half that I remember, but did we go back to the shots we missed in the first half? Go back to that stuff. Off of play action, off the fake mesh move, and go back to it, right? And make you force your team to make those plays. Why is Velus Jones on the field? See, now I'm getting excited. Why is Tyler Scott not out there? Did he was still in the lineup in the second half. You drop that ball, you on the bench. You catching splinters. I don't get it, man. I just don't get it.
Danny, what do you think about my question? Do you think that if you exchange coaching staffs, we might have seen, we would have definitely seen a different result, but would the Bears have won or had a chance to win?
I think you're seeing identical staffs. To be honest with you, I think you're seeing defensive-minded head coaches who we're finding that they're not really NFL head coaches. That they belong as defensive coordinators. That both Eberflus and Brandon Stanley are both defensive coordinators and not head coaches in the NFL. In my opinion, he has a ton of talent. Stanley has a ton of talent out there in LA, and they're a very underachieving team. In terms of his offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, he's a guy that's innovative in terms of the pass attack, but he's also a guy that's been criticized for forgetting about the run game. It's similar with Getsy. He gets a little pass happy as well. So, could we see a little more creativity in offense with Kellen Moore as offense coordinator than Getsy? Or who knows? But to me, it's identical staffs. They're both defensive staffs led by defensive head coaches that should be defensive coordinators in the NFL next year and not actual head coaches.
It's fascinating responses that I got from both of you, and I think you guys are right. Have we entered the stage now, or if your head coach isn't like an offensive coordinator or somebody who really specializes in offense, you're probably doing your team and your franchise a disservice? Coach T, what do you think?
I don't know, Aldo, because I think we have a crisis of good offensive football coaches in the NFL. These guys come up so fast up through the ranks, and I think I might have tweeted this earlier, right? Where they become offensive specialists of the system they come from and not good football coaches, right? They become masters of one system and remove the personnel, the perfect or ideal or optimal personnel from that system, and they can't coach. It's like they lose their minds, right? They got to have the exact type of quarterback. They have to have the exact type of running backs, right? And it seems like they can't coach. So think about the names that's being thrown out there for head coaches for next year. They worry me, right? Ben Johnson, if you look at his level of his pedigree, right? There's not a real coaching tree attached to it. So it makes me fearful of a one-hit wonder for him, right? I know y'all laugh at the Mike LaFleur a name, me throwing it out there, but if you look at the resume, and this is the only reason why I throw it out there, Aldo, because he did two stints with Kyle Shanahan and one stint with McVay. He went to New York, the Jets, and they made room for Aaron, so they fired him, brought Hackett in, and he went back to work for Kyle Shanahan again. That's the only reason why I promote the name, because he spent two stints under the same regime, and he has a level of depth. Now the guy in Seattle was it Sheldon or whatever, the offensive coordinator there.
Yeah,
he has a little
Waldron.
better.
That's
yeah,
Waldron. Shane Waldron.
Waldron. He has a little better pedigree. So as you guys are going out there and searching on the internet and figuring out who's the possible names, don't just look at these guys having success at Detroit and everything. We need somebody with some depth. That way, if they don't come in and have the perfect personnel, right, they can coach the personnel we have until we draft, players into the system. They understand football 101, right? Listen, I don't have the perfect, X right now, so I'm gonna have to play a little bit differently. So yeah, it's just I feel like we got an NFL coaching crisis, and it might be time for us to inherit some of these young offensive minds from the college ranks and bring some fresh blood into the league.
Danny, you disagree with that, huh?
And the whole college thing is overrated. No, Jim Harbaugh, if you're talking about Jim Harbaugh, that's different. Right? That guy's got NFL pedigree. He's won in the NFL. He's won everywhere he's been. That's a guy I'd be out there, banging the table for, trying to bring him in here to be the Bears head coach. I mean, to me, it just feels like he should be the Bears head coach, next season. But anyway, we'll see. But in terms of these college coaches, I mean, we've seen this come out. We've seen Nick Saban fail, and we've seen some of these bigger name college coaches come out here to the NFL and they fail. I mean, remember the Urban Meyer
I'm talking about the coordinators
in
though,
Jacksonville.
Danny.
Urban Meyer was considered one of the better coaches in football, and he came in Jacksonville, was a complete disaster. So I want guys that have NFL pedigree, guys that have done it before. Like I said, prefer head coaching experience. Now the Ben Johnson thing, he was also a guy that I was kind of like lukewarm on. But the only thing about Ben Johnson, I will give him some credit for, is that he's a guy that has taken Jared Goff, a guy that everyone in the whole league had given up on, and said this guy was a bust and blah blah blah. And he's taken him and he's turned him into a damn good a quarterback again. He's built a system kind of around Jared Goff, and he's got some weapons in terms of Amon-Ra St. Brown. But if you look at overall, he doesn't have the big play, players on the outside. He uses a lot of tight ends, uses his running backs. Utilizes all the guys on offense to get the ball down the field and put points on the board. So, but he's also backed up by a good, strong defense. And although going back to your question in terms of do you just go out and get an offense guy? I mean, that's the thing with the league is like, all right, you got a defensive coordinator now, or defensive head coach. The next one's got to be offensive one. And if he fails, go get a defensive one. Just get the best guy for the damn job. Look at Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh. Look at John Harbaugh. He's a special teams coordinator in Baltimore. If you get the right right coach, the guy who can lead the 53-man roster and hire very good coordinators to come in and do the job, interview the coordinators and see what can he do? What will they, this is what we have in terms of our talent. How are you going to build this offense around, say, Justin Fields, for example, or if we're going to go get another quarterback, how are you going to do this? And just kind of hire the right people. You just need a guy who leads. Again, I'll go on the record now again. So I want Jim Harbaugh as the next head coach, but I know he's a little difficult to deal with. So we'll see how it goes.
I want to be clear when I'm talking about these coaches bringing in for college. I'm talking about the coordinators. Some guys that have some fresh, creative minds that's bringing that are well-rounded and in tune with today's game, right? And is not going to sit there and try and play parking lot football all night. We need some fresh blood in the coaching ranks as far as the coordinators.
Yeah, and Mike North, who is on this network and does a weekly show called Mike North's Press Conference, he's been pushing for a big name like a Harbaugh or a Deion Sanders because he thinks it's going to take a big personality to turn this franchise around and shake off the whatever you want to call it, the cobwebs of that have gathered after years of unwinning, and that's going to just take somebody who's going to command the locker room. And I hate to go back to Mike Ditka. Mike Ditka is not my favorite head coach of all time. He ruined more Super Bowls possibilities than one. but maybe a big personality a la a Mike Ditka, who's going to clean out locker rooms as to make statements and stuff like that. What do you think, Coach?
No, I'm with Danny on the Harbaugh hire. The only problem is, you know what I'm saying, how do we bypass, you know what I'm saying, the issues he's having at Michigan, overlook that, you know what I'm saying? Like that's going to be a PR nightmare. So what do? You know what I'm saying? What do you do in that situation?
Which the Spygate thing?
Yeah. Like they, you know what I'm saying?
All college coaches do that. They Michigan got caught.
Yeah, but I'm saying though, like that's your point though. You know what I'm saying? You can't get caught. If you're gonna do it, you can't get caught. That's gonna be a whole distraction. And then here's the thing, that puts a kind of like blemish in you still got to get up and talk in front of kids or young men and say, do this, carry yourself this way, we're going to play the right way and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's leadership by example. It lends the credibility. You can't come in and somebody be able to point at your program and say you did XYZ. I love the idea of it. I just, you know what I'm saying, I just don't want to breeze past. It might be a issue of concern.
The thing Harbaugh and Michigan thing there was gonna be a divorce after the season anyway, and I think this is just, I don't know if it's an internal leak or something. Someone leaked something to, whether it's internal administration or whatnot. Forgot how that story broke, whether it was NCAA or if it was the internal Michigan committee that actually found this stuff, but. Someone, because they just want to make it official. They want to break free. Because again, he's a difficult person to work with. His personality is not the one that is warm and fuzzy like Eberflus. But you know what? He'll go out there and he'll command the room. He'll command the players, or command the respect, and he'll hire good coaches that'll get this team competitive and start winning. So I mean, we were talking about it. Let's start winning. Let's start competing for division titles first. And then he'll get you to a certain point. And then if at that point, if he has a young up and coming assistant on his staff, and you feel like, you know what, I'm tired of the Jim Harbaugh act, I'm going to put this guy in, or you find another head coach or that's from another team that can come in and take over and kind of. There was that Jerry Reinsdorf saying from point A to point B to point C or all that stuff when he fired Doug Collins. Remember when he fired Phil Jackson? If you want to let's get to the basics. Let's get a team where we're competing. We're not embarrassed on national television every damn time. Every time the Bears are on national television, I'm embarrassed because I'm like, damn, are they gonna make us look bad again? And we're laughing stock of the league again. So it's like, let's get there. Let's start competing for division titles, and maybe we get to the playoffs. Oh my God, multiple seasons back to back. That'll be even fantastic. And then we'll go there. But you got to become respectable before you can start. You're not gonna go from this debacle to contending for Super Bowls next year or next 2 years. So. That's the thing, is like, he's a guy that's coming here is going to, we always talk about an adult in the room. He's going to be an adult in the room in terms of commanding this team. Again, tough personality, but at least he'll get you to a competitive basis where you're competing for division titles, hopefully.
There was an article today on NFL.com with the headline, NFL likely won't be safe harbor for Michigan head coach Jim Harbaugh from potential NCAA discipline. It's written by Ian Rappaport and Tom Pelissaro, and in the middle of the article it says, the NFL is unlikely to make itself a safe harbor for Harbaugh to escape what could be substantial NCAA discipline, league sources have told them, raising the strong possibility Harbaugh would need to serve some or all of any possible suspension he could face in college if he returns to the pros. I recommend people read that if they want more. It's several paragraphs long, but I just wanted to throw that in. Why don't we move on to a different subject? Somebody just put up in chat, what about the offensive coordinator for the Chiefs? Well, how about Eric Bieniemy? I know he was very upset when I saw him at the end of the game today because Sam Howell missed the pass. But Eric Bieniemy is an interesting name. I mean, talk about a guy that could command the locker room. This is a no bullshit kind of guy. But is he a
got the Chiefs stink on him? He's got the Chiefs stink on him. That's the thing. It's the Chiefs. Bieniemy versus the Bears. Did you guys realize this? When the Bears played the Commanders, he made Howell throw 55 straight times.
Yeah.
No, I mean, that's crazy. That's insane. So it's like, he's got that Chiefs stink on him. And again, it works for the Chiefs. God bless them. Andy Reid and all them. I don't want the Ryan Poles experience. He's got the Chiefs stink on him as well. And then Nagy had the Chiefs stink on him. Now that's the thing. I want a clean break from the Chiefs. Whatever the Chiefs are doing, it's working for them. it's not working here in Chicago. So I'm done with the whole Chief. Chief.
Yeah, I
What do you
mean, it
think?
goes back
Coordinator
to what we
Goff?
said earlier. It's like, where do you look though? Like, where do you look? Do you look at the Bills coaching chain? Who do you look at that's having success that you can say, okay, I'm a pick, because that's how the NFL goes. It goes way. We get to the end of the season, we see who's thriving, and we pick the next young gun out of what from that coaching staff, and we run with it. That's why I say the
If you're gonna
NFL.
pick from a coaching tree, it's the Shanahan tree, right? You're
Yeah,
talking about the Florida guy you talked about, Bobby Slowick, who is running
I
the.
know we hate the last name, man, but
I
I'm
know.
telling you,
No, he's
I'm
running
telling
the
you.
Texans offense. It's all from the Shanahan tree, and that's what you're gonna pick now. That's what you're looking for right now.
Interesting. Let's talk a little bit about certain players from tonight's game, and then we'll get out of here. I know, Danny, you've been really hard on Tyreek Stevenson because of his over aggressiveness and the penalties that he gets and so forth. But I kind of agree with Chris Collinsworth when he talked about Stevenson tonight, and he said he's learning. Some of the stuff in years from now he's going to get away with, but he's learning what he can get away with now. And this guy, I think, is going to be a really good cornerback maybe in a year or two. Your thoughts?
I agree. I think he's going through his rookie mistake. He's getting picked on. But the one thing is as a coaching staff, get him to turn his head around. That's all he's got to do. Turn his head around, because he's there. He's there, and he gets a little grabby and all that stuff, and that's a rookie. But again, he's there, and I think just get your head turned around. That if your head turns around, you'll get the benefit of the call from the officials. Look at the Jalen Johnson one down on the right left sideline. He turned his head around. He was a little grabby and touchy, but he had his head turned around, making a play for the football, got the benefit of the doubt there. So, to me, it's more of an emphasis on the coaching staff. Let's get this guy coached up. Why do you have to wait a whole offseason before he does that? So, again, this is my thing with the staff is guys are not being developed properly. They're not being put in spots to become important, impact players right away. So that's the thing about Stevenson for me. I think Terrell Smith was in there. I think he's a much more effective corner right now at this stage of his career. So, but obviously he's sick right now, so he's out with monos. That's why he's not playing. So, but yeah, I mean, Stevenson has got some talent. I know that I love his no back down, his attitude. Moxie, I love that about him. And, but the thing is, he's got to clean up his, I think he was the 7th highest flag defensive back in the NFL coming into this game today. So, just got to clean that up. And again, that all comes down to coaching. So for me, I guess if I'm directing him at Stevenson, it's more so at Stevenson and then the coaching, because you got to get that cleaned up immediately.
Coach?
This might be petty, right? I'm gonna go off the rails with this one.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say it like, Danny, is it just me? But when I look at Stevenson, I look at his size at corner, and I say right now he's a rookie at that size, right? He's a rookie at the size he is right now. Where does his body go from where it is now, as his career extends? Now, if he takes really good care of himself and keeps himself super lean, he'll be okay. But if he grows into that body anymore, he's going to be a damn outside linebacker before soon, or safety at best. I just feel like he's out of position.
Yeah.
When I look at the kid, I feel like he's out of position. I feel like you swap, and we've said this before, you swap he and Kyler Murray. I don't know how well Kyler Murray can run, right?
You mean Kyler Gordon?
Kyler Gordon. I'm sorry. I said Murray.
But Gordon plays inside slot. You need a quicker. You need a guy with more lateral.
The reason why I say that is because I see us sending Kyler Gordon in to duck under tackles on blitzes, right? And I'm concerned that his little Spider-Man body won't hold up as well as Stevenson if we put him in there and he's a hybrid safety, slot linebacker in nickel situations, and his natural aggressiveness allows him to play down in the box. And then we get a true outside guy. I don't know. I don't know how long, if he gets any bigger, I don't know if he's going to be able to hold up and chase the more speedier wide receivers in the league. That's what I'm concerned about.
Yeah.
And you realize you start getting grabby when you start panicking when guys are running past you. He's not grabbing for no reason. He's worried about getting cooked.
Yeah, but the only thing, I mean, in terms of toughness, in terms of physicality, yeah, he could play the slot, but he doesn't have the lateral quickness, the ability to stop a two-way goal against these faster, quicker, typically, faster, quicker inside slot receiver. So I don't think that's a spot for him as well. I think eventually his when his career advances, he might be a safety.
Yeah.
But I don't think I think corner is the right spot. Outside corner is the right spot for him right now. I don't see him, going inside. He just got to clean up his technique. He's got to get coached up. And this staff so far, in my opinion, has failed him.
I got a couple of questions here I want to make sure we addressed. First, from Cliff. He wants to know what you guys thought about the early whistles on Mooney and Kmet. Could have cost us a couple of touchdowns. I guess, Coach T, I'll ask you first. What is the state of officiating in this league? I complain about it every week. These guys are officials who have jobs elsewhere. I think today's head referee was a high school counselor. And that bothers me because these guys could be spending the entire work week looking at tape, doing exercises, really perfecting their craft, but instead they're doing taxes and going into court cases and stuff during the week. Your thoughts, Coach?
It's crazy because the local $3 cafe, which is a local restaurant here in Georgia I go to, actually has a regular guy that's an NFL referee that we see all the time. I'm not gonna call his name out. Good, great guy, but I see him there all the time, man. No, man, it's. I think we did just a huge turnover about a year or so ago, and I can't recognize any of these people. I don't know. We just pulling guys off the street.
Seems that way.
On those particular calls, man, it was trash. I think we were too shy on it, too quick on the whistle, especially on the Kmet call. Because if you know, just like a coach has to know his personnel. If you've done the film study, you know who you're playing with. People like Cole Kmet, you got to be slow on the whistle because he's going to get, the extra 4 or 5 yards on the drag. So, yeah, it goes without saying, man. These guys and gals, I don't know, man. I don't know.
I'll tell you one thing. The Chicago Bears did a really good video where they had Lucas Patrick mic'd up in last week's game, and there's one segment in it where he's talking to one of the officials, and it's clear that they don't know each other. And I can understand Lucas Patrick not knowing the official, although the official said he's been doing it for 16 years. But the 16-year official doesn't know the 6-year center, Lucas Patrick, doesn't know who he is, doesn't know his tendencies, hasn't looked at tape to become familiar. That's why the officiating is an atrocity, Danny.
No, I've been right there with you, Aldo, in terms of the officiating. In terms of getting these becomes full timers, guys that are year round employees of the NFL, and that's why they can in off season they can hone on the craft. That they can take a look at NFL tendencies in terms of offense and defense and stuff that these guys are doing. These coaches are developing, so they can be better prepared to call these if there's an illegal shift or something going on there. So yeah, I agree with you 100%. I do not get any disagreement from me in terms of the actual plays themselves. Again, we talked about that at halftime, the Mooney play. Like, where was the Eberflus? Why wasn't him out there? Why was he out there, yelling up a storm? Now I know they blew the play dead. I'm not sure what he could have done, but if you get on an official early on, you work them to get things in your favor going on later on in the game. And he's just sitting there like dumbfounded, like he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. So that's another thing there. The Kmet one, it was really weird because it looked like another Bears player. I don't know if it was Rashawn Johnson came in and kind of bumped the defender off of Kmet. So I don't know if that's what. I wish we had a replay of the play because it happened real fast. So I think that's a Bears player came and kind of bumped the defender off of Kmet. Kmet spun away. I think maybe that's why they called him down. So I have to go back and take a look at the L22 on that one, but that was my initial glance of it. But yeah, it's hit or miss every week, every game. You have a good crew, you have a bad crew, you have misplays. What was the hold that right before the Bajan touchdown? The Bears were challenging the previous play. The flag was on the field, and they didn't even notice the flag was on the field, and they let that other play go. So
yeah, I think we have, and I forgot about this point too, Aldo. I think we have similar to coaching, right? We have an officiating crisis in the nation too. So I know in the high school and college levels, right? They're having to play high school games on Thursdays and Wednesdays now. I mean,
Oh, wow.
Thursdays and more games on Saturdays because we're sharing officials, right? And a lot of high school officials got sucked up to the college level. So you know what I'm
Mm.
saying? We're having a crisis in that space too. So I don't know. If you're looking for something out there, you know, officiate might be the way to go.
Come on, Swanky 32, get into the officiating world. And all you other guys in the
Pay
chat.
worth the damn.
All right, there are trade rumors. Cliff reminded us that there are trade rumors going on regarding Chase Young and probably to a lesser extent Montez Sweat. It was Adam Schefter that reported it. Mike Florio also reported it. But Schefter usually has his ear to the real thing. Florio sometimes makes things up. So, what are your thoughts, guys? Coach, what do you think? Should the Bears try to pursue one of these defensive linemen? And of course, if it's with Chase Young, you got to do the medicals first before you even get into discussions. You got to get a contract done, or do you think this is just bullshit and we should forget about it and worry about other things?
Well, what I'm hearing is this draft is not, you know what I'm saying, there's a bunch of good pass rush depth in this draft. So if Ryan Poles is thinking about going down that path, then that's understandably why. Like that's the logic there. But you know, the popular name is Chase Young, of course. But like you said, like I'm concerned about the medicals. The contract is more friendly than the Sweat contract, right? But I would be concerned about the medicals because at least the last thing we can do is afford to do is, you know, sign another medical dud, right? We got a behavior dud, and we had a medical fail with I can't remember who the defensive lineman was name is that we signed.
Larry Ogunjobi.
Ogunjobi, right? The last thing we can afford is a fail on that end. So you know, I think the safe bet if they're going to sign one of the two is to go with the Sweat deal, but it's going to be a little bit of an expensive contract, right? I'm not a big salary cap dude, but it's going to be more expensive than a Chase deal.
Any your thoughts?
For me, anytime Ryan Poles gets involved in a trade talks, I'm scared shitless because I just don't think he knows what he's doing in terms of trades. Always overcompensates for trades. Always gives up too much, in my opinion. So both those kids are free agents at the end of the year. They're not going to sign both of them. They being Washington. So might as well just use your cap money and save your draft picks and go sign them as free agents because you're going to have probably the most cap of any team out there. You didn't spend much of it last year. You know, you spent a little bit of it. So go out there and sign, you know, whether it's Chase Young or Montez Sweat, whichever one hits the free agent market. So, you know, like that, I'm not giving anything higher than like a third round pick, you know, maybe a fourth round pick for these guys, you know? So I'm not giving a first or a second.
Right.
I don't care ours or Carolina. I'm not giving that for these players. So if you get one of them for like say a fourth round pick, okay, you can do that. But you know, typically, like I said, Ryan Poles always gets burned in these trades. So I would not let him do any sort of wheeling and dealing right now.
All right. Last question I have, and then we'll pull the plug on this episode of Bear Football, is Justin Fields. He should be ready to play against New Orleans next week. We saw him on the sideline. I was thinking to myself, why is he talking to himself? And then the announcer said he was going through the play calls. He's calling them. This guy is, you know, he wants to get back out there. I can't wait to see him back out there. New Orleans Saints had a really good game today. Their defense is not the best, but you know, playing in New Orleans Superdome is always a tough task for any quarterback, veteran or young. Coach T, tell me what your expectations are for JF1 next week.
You're excited to see him get back out there, Aldo, but I'm not.
No,
no, I'm not. I'm not excited to see any quarterback that play for this staff. I'm sorry. I'm just not motivated to see any quarterback of ours get out there with this coordinator. I'm ready to see. Give Janeko a shot. Give Seymour a shot. I don't care. Right? I don't care. I want to see something different with this offense and with these players because I feel like no matter who we have out there, we're putting them at risk. You know what I'm saying? There's plenty of times tonight where I saw Tyson Bajika got hurt. He got to get hit and hurt, right? Same thing with Justin, right? Whether you're getting the ball a lot or not, you know what I'm saying? There's plenty of opportunities for these guys to get hurt the style of play and then the level of the level of maturity or the level of health or whatever you call it with this offensive line. And so I'm not excited to see either one of them get out there and play, and be honest with you. We're Bears fans. We got to watch Bears football, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Justin's coming back, and I'm just elated to see Justin come out because he's going to light New Orleans up for 450 and 5 touchdowns. We all know now for sure that is not the truth. The reality that we live in is they're having to overcome the coordinator, their fellow teammates, the referees, the head coach. It's just too much to overcome. So, no, I'm not excited.
Danny, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think obviously New Orleans. I think it's a tough setting. I mean, I know the defense, their numbers have been down this year, but they're still a pretty tough defensive front. So for Justin, I would just like he was still wearing that cast tonight at the game. So just take another week, maybe just get a little extra heel. Let Bagent go out there, get his third start, and just kind of throw him out to the wolves, if you will. I really do not want to see that him rush back, Justin, that is rush back and re-injure that thumb. So that's the thing, is like be a little bit more cautious with him. The one thing I'm curious to see is what's the status of Braxton Jones? Is he? I know he's practicing this week, but obviously he wasn't elevated to the 53-man roster. So interesting, because if you get him out there at left tackle, I feel a little bit more better whether we have Justin or Bagent out there in terms of holding up against the New Orleans Saints. Because I mean, Larry Borom, God bless his heart, but he's out there trying, but he's not very, very good left tackle. So. But for me, like, let Justin get another week in there, let Bagent go out there. It's a tough atmosphere to put him back in right away after being off for 2 weeks. And I believe the last game, that game after that is at home, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, versus the Panthers. Is that the Thursday night game?
Yes.
I'd rather just bring him back against them Thursday night here in Soldier Field.
All right. I think that's it. Final thoughts, guys. Start with you, Danny.
Yeah, just disappointing performance today. Like I said earlier, I don't think the team was prepared. They came out, they were outmatched from get go. The coaching staff just had some questionable decisions, in terms of what to challenge, not to challenge. Again, not blitzing, not being aggressive versus Justin Herbert. A guy was out there basically one hand. You let him kind of just sit back there 5, 6, 7 seconds, then didn't really dial him up. When he did dial him up, got a couple hits on him, got the ball, out of his hands quickly, and got some incompletions. There was at least one punt where they forced them to punt in the third quarter, and there was a Kyler Gordon blitz from the nickel position. So this is something that Eberflus has to do. He's got to continue to blitz, got to continue to be aggressive. And unfortunately, we didn't see it today, and they couldn't get off the football field. Offensively, they looked a little dysfunctional in the first couple parts of the first quarter, got it together before the half, but looked bad again in the second half. So just a bad overall performance. Another, primetime game where the Bears just didn't look good.
Coach?
Yeah, we went to bed. Just like how complimentary football was a highlight for last week. It was the exact opposite this week. You know what I'm saying? That's probably the biggest takeaway. We have to play a certain style of football, and we don't with this young team. We're just not going to be competitive. It's not going to look competent. It's not going to look smooth. So yeah, we got a lot of opportunities out there.
Yeah, and I'll just say it was great to see Kevin Moore, the new CEO, president of the Chicago Bears, at the game. The cameras were on him for quite some time, and he totally looked exasperated. He's not happy. He was writing notes, and so hopefully, those notes are going to be changed into action soon. Don't expect there to be any firings in the rest of the season, but I do want to see Kevin Warren take control. I saw this feature on Kevin Warren on Real Time Sports when he was the Big Ten commissioner, and I just fell in love with the guy back then. What he did to expand the Big Ten and his thinking on things. And then when you read about what he did in Minnesota to get that new stadium open, this guy could be, we were talking about quarterback saviors. This guy could be the savior of the franchise. I'm keeping my fingers crossed, and I'll say a prayer for him and the Chicago Bears franchise, because what we are living through right now, we shouldn't be. We're too dedicated. We spent too much money. We've spent too much time in our lives to be rewarded with that piece of trash that we saw out there today. All right, I just want to let people know that Coach T, you can catch more on him on his show, which is Coach. I had it queued up and now I lost it. What's the name of your show, bro?
Chicago Bears 360 with Coach T. Hey, Tuesdays at 4, 3 Central. Tuesdays and Thursdays, 4, 3 Central, and then Sundays at 10, man. I appreciate everybody that's been coming to hang out, man. It's been fun.
Outstanding. Coach Bears, Chicago Bears 360 with Coach T. That's the title. I lost it there, but got it back. Danny, you've got something special coming up on Wednesday, Buffon 55. I don't know if it's special, but you'll have some thoughts and we'll have
some fun with John and Alyssa with discussing this game and also previewing next week's opponent as well. But the one thing, although I wanted to add real quick about Kevin Warren and what I'd heard about him was he's a guy that will come in and he'll demand respect, but he holds people accountable. That's the one. That's the glimmer of hope I have when I say things are not the same. With the McCaskies, being in charge or Ted Phillips. I think it's Kevin Warren, because when someone told me he will hold people accountable if they do not perform up to their tasks or their jobs. So again, that's what I'm holding on hope for.
All right. I want to say for Danny, for Coach T, for John Buffon, my name is Aldo Gandia. By the way, bear their souls. I'm taking this Tuesday off, spend it with my grandchild Halloween night, and I don't want to rush back into a show. So that show's off. But we will have Greg Gabriel and Mike North on and Buffon 55. So we got plenty of Bears coverage this week. Just subscribe to the Barrow Network's YouTube channel and you'll get updated on all stuff, and make sure you subscribe to Coach T's channel as well. All right, everybody, take care. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.